Welcome to This Endorian Life, a nostalgic podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nic Gunning, and we're settling in for some vintage Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh yeah, today we are discussing He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, episode 57, Castle of Heroes, which first aired on November 9th, 1983.
Yeah.
We were wee
Very wee. You still had a soft spot at this point.
I still had to say I was only a month old when this came out. That's crazy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you could have watched it. Who knows?
Yeah, all right. I might have been. Yeah.
All right, let me hit you with some facts.
Okay.
This series is, of course, based on the Masters of the Universe toy line from Mattel. I feel like that's a very 80s thing. You know, they're like, we got these toys, we might as well make a cartoon to go with it to sell the toys. You know what I mean? And not like vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
It is interesting.
Because a lot of stuff like that, like Shirt Tails and stuff was like, on greeting cards and stuff like that. And they're like, well, we might as well, have a cartoon as well. It just seems very backwards to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so based on the toy line from Mattel, the episode was released on DVD in 2011 along with the rest of the series. It was written by Mel Gilden, who'd go on to write the episode The Time Wheel in season 2 and work behind the scenes on some other episodes as well. Directed by Ernie Schmidt. Here are our cast members. We have John Irwin as He-Man. He also voices Blackbeard in this episode. And we previously heard him on this show as Ronald Radford III on Fred and Barney Meet the Thing. Remember that show, Steve? Fred and Barney? Meet the Thing?
Try not to.
Oh, sorry. We have Alan Oppenheimer as Skeletor. And what a performance from Alan Oppenheimer.
Dude,
it's just, the thing that cracks me up about this show is, like, I don't even think it's trying to be serious. Like, Skeletor is such a cartoony, like, hot mess of a villain. It's just, there's something that's so funny to me about his, like, flaming skull kind of design in his voice. It's like, oh no, He-Man, blah. It's just such a funny...
No, I'm not the moron you are.
Yeah.
Funny. And the echo too is just like, everyone's talking in a tiny room except for Skeletor. Every time he talks, it's a massive like concert hall, and I love it.
It's true. So Alan Oppenheimer voices Skeletor. He also voices Monteague and Hannibal. And we heard him very recently on the Rambo cartoon where he voices Colonel Sam Troutman.
Oh, no way. I feel like I recognize that, that voice.
Yeah.
Like with the cotton in your mouth and you're doing your lines. Like, I was like, man, that seems really familiar from something. I didn't want to like look it up. Well, I did want to, and then I forgot, but I was like, man, I feel like I know. I feel like we've heard this voice before.
Now
from somebody,
Yeah.
You just, when you know, you know.
Yep. We also have Linda Gary as Tila, and she did voice work in the Karate Kid pilot.
There we go.
A lot of familiars. Right. Finally, we have Alan Oppenheimer, who voices both Orko and Clawful. He served as a producer on this and many other shows, particularly Filmation kind of shows, and was behind the scenes on Star Trek The Animated Series. Maybe you've heard of it.
I believe I've heard of that as well, yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about because I mean, we both grew up in the 80s, with like peak He-Man time. Maybe we're a little young for that, but what is your history with He-Man? Was this a show you were watching, He-Man, She-Ra?
Not even really the show. It was the action figures. Like I had action figures of He-Man, and that was where I first knew of it. I didn't really watch He-Man until later. I mean, obviously, I didn't watch it when it came out. I can't claim that.
Soft spot and all.
But no, like I think in college, when a lot of digital stuff had come around, I was watching a lot of it like on the college network and stuff like that when movies and TV shows were on there. But yeah, like as a kid, I'm trying to remember the one action figure whose face would constantly change. Which character in He-Man? Oh man.
I don't know.
Shoot, I used to remember his name. You'd like press his chest and his face would turn and it would be like an angry face. It would be like a different. I'm trying to remember who that was.
Yeah.
But I had a bunch of them. I had a Clawful. I had a He-Man. I had the lion. Well, it has two names.
Cringer.
Right. Cringer. Yeah. Cringer.
Cringer / Battle Cat.
It was a Battle Cat because it had the saddle and face horn type thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I had a bunch of that, and that was my introduction. But I also, like, from the library, we would rent those like book. You remember the books and cassette tape that you would
Yeah.
listen along with? That was
Yeah.
that's what I did. So I didn't
Okay.
necessarily watch He-Man as a kid. I listened to He-Man and read those little square books that came along with the cassette tape. So that was my
Okay.
first entry. You got it in the bag. You remember you go to the library and it'd be the hanging, all
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bags with the plastic handles would be hanging there. That's how I got into it.
Okay.
What about you?
Uh, Nothing. Like
No. Oh,
as a
nothing.
child, I was not allowed, and so I never
Yeah,
had any of
yeah.
the action figures. I never watched the show. I was always aware of it because it was still a big thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I had the Castle Grayskull like play set that I just found, like at a yard sale or something like that. And so I would play with like Super Friends and stuff on that.
Oh.
My wife grew up loving the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special. And so that was like annual
Okay.
viewing for her. And I think that's kind of how we got like because I have since watched several episodes of the show, like with my son. It's my son's birthday today. So happy
Mm.
birthday out there.
Oh, no way. Happy birthday.
Yeah, that's right. 12 years old.
That's crazy.
So we have watched a bunch of that. I really liked that DreamWorks She-Ra show. Some of the more recent He-Man stuff I've liked. Also, the Kevin Smith Master of the Universe Revelation and stuff. I liked that. But as far as like vintage 80s, this is not something that I grew up with at all.
Mm.
So it's kind of fun to revisit it now because it is such a hole in my like retro pop culture knowledge. So it's kind
Yeah.
of nice to be getting into it now. Have you seen the Dolph Lundgren movie?
I have seen the Dolph Lundgren movie.
Is it any good?
It's okay.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I feel like it came out at the same time. Did they do Conan? Conan was before the Dolph Lundgren one.
Okay.
I'm thinking. They did Conan really well.
Okay.
I feel like that's a cult classic, and the He-Man, the Masters of the Universe one with Dolph Lundgren just didn't hit as well,
Yeah.
I
It
think.
seems kind of forgotten now. Like it's not one that,
I think
you know,
so, yeah.
it was like it seemed like it sort of fit in this weird place where like it wasn't such a bomb like the Flash Gordon movie that it became a cult classic. It
Yeah.
seemed like it just sort of happened
Yeah.
and then whatever. Kind of like the Mario Brothers movie with John
Yeah.
Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins. It's like it happened.
Yep.
Some people have a fondness for it, but it's not something that is like in the zeitgeist or whatever. So I don't know.
True. Yeah, there's really nobody out there that's like, "Oh, yeah, one of my favorite movies is, Leguizamo's
Right.
Super Mario."
Right.
Mario
Exactly.
Brothers. Like, yeah, no, I
Exactly.
doubt it, but
Yeah. That being said, I am looking forward to the Master of the Universe movie that's coming out soon.
yeah, me
That
too.
looks fun to me.
It's at first, remember the first trailer that came out, like the teaser, and I saw
Yeah.
it and I was like, "Oh no, it looks like a cheesy CW long episode." Like
Yeah, I get that.
it had that look to it, and they used all the jokes, I guess, in
Yeah.
the original like teaser trailer, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, this is gonna be terrible." And like the newer trailers that have like just come out a few weeks ago actually look really good. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of excited about it. Oh, segue, that action figure I had, you're never gonna guess.
Yes.
The guy that was like, "Oh, they had a lot of faces." He had many faces. His name is
Yeah.
Man-E Faces. Manny
Well,
Manny
there you
Man-E
go.
Faces. That's one of the most memorable ones I had because
Okay.
you'd press a little button and his face would change. So it
Yeah.
was awesome.
I've never had a He-Man toy.
I'm excited for the new one. It comes out really soon, right? Or did it already come
Yes,
out?
it does.
I
No,
can't
it's
even
this
remember now.
summer. It's June. June
It's June.
2026.
Okay,
It's coming
it's
out. Yeah.
June.
All right. Well, our Star Wars link for this episode. According to the Masters of the Universe fandom page, writer Mel Gilden was brought into this fold by his friend Michael Reeves. Michael Reeves, who of course wrote some of our favorites of Ewoks and droids. So Mel wrote
Ah.
for several classic cartoons, including Heathcliff, James Bond Jr., The Flintstone Kids, and Fraggle Rock. He's also an accomplished author, including his popular fifth grade Monsters series. I've actually interviewed Mel a few times. Once for the All the Books show for the David A. Howe Library a couple years back. We talked mostly about his Star Trek novels, but just kind of got into his writing in general. And then once again, Kendra and I interviewed him over on 9021 Here We Go because Mel was hired to write all the novelizations for the 90210 series. So we talked to him about that process. And
Oh,
we actually
wow.
touched on this episode a little bit because we talked a lot about his work in TV and stuff. And Castle of Heroes was his first script that was sold and produced. So this was like his launch into there. So since these interviews, we've kept up just sort of a light correspondence. It's like every couple of years, we'll chat a little bit online or something. So I reached out to Mel about this episode, just asking him a little bit his memories about it, what he thought, and here is the response I got. So from writer Mel Gilden. As far as the Castle of Heroes goes, you probably know that Castle was my first He-Man sale. My main problem, as I saw it then, was to make sure that my story was long enough to fill the time. So when He-Man was on his way to the part of Eternia that had asked him for help, he ran into a variety of supernatural creatures and phenomena that were otherwise not connected. I wasn't really proud of my solution, but I believe I did better with the next 2 or 3 episodes that I wrote. What's more important was the coaching I got from Arthur Nadal, the story editor, and from friends of mine who had more experience with He-Man and with animation in general.
Mm.
So that's kind of to hear like his perspective on it, because
Yeah.
I sort of felt like them running into the struggles that they see on their way felt very much like, sort of like an epic poem or something. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
he's going to this trial and these things keep popping up to prevent him. I thought it kind of set well with the episode, but I get being critical of your own work, but I had a pretty good time with it.
I think so. It's interesting that he kind of writes it from that perspective of he wrote it where these were just troubles on his way to the
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it, I was just like, huh, like I thought the test was going to be the giant.
Yeah.
That's really cool. His perspective on that. It's interesting. He got coaching too.
Yeah. He mentioned Arthur Nadel, so I just wanted to give him a shout out for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
He served as a story editor and producer on many shows that I love. Of course, He-Man, but also
Hmm.
Gilligan's Planet. He worked on Jason of Star Command. He worked on Shazam, The Secrets of Isis. So lots of cool things
Oh,
in his past, and
yeah.
nice to hear that he was a good mentor to Mel. But anyway, that's it. You can listen to both of those interviews either at the All the Book Show or 902 and Here We Go. And I would recommend them because we had a really nice chat. And you can find more about Mel at melgilden.com.
Melgilden.com. Cool. All right. Should I take us out into the uber detailed plot of He-Man episode 57,
I would
Castle
love it. I
of
would love
Heroes?
it.
All right. Skeletor and Clawful deviously spy on He-Man when Monteague makes an unusual entrance along with Hannibal. Yes, that Hannibal of the Punic War. And Blackbeard. Yes, but Space Captain Blackbeard. Monteague has his sights set on He-Man and wants to add him to his private army by first testing him and then tricking him into joining him. Skeletor agrees since this would help him be rid of He-Man. He-Man is hanging out with Tila and Orko when Monteague appears to them, pleading with them to deal with a giant. He-Man sets off immediately along with Orko to deal with this giant. On their way, He-Man unknowingly faces his first test. They pass a massive forest fire and He-Man cleverly puts it out using a nearby river. Skeletor is elated that He-Man is doing well, since his success means he'd be rid of him. They set off again and are suddenly followed by ice cannonballs, a trap He-Man thinks is set by the ice trolls. Before escaping through Needle Mountain, He-Man dislodges a massive boulder and successfully stops the cannonballs. They continue through Needle Mountain Cave when they are stopped by the cave's exit. A massive stone portcullis is malfunctioning, making their exit nearly impossible. He-Man jumps out and holds the portcullis open while Orko flies the Wind Raider out of the cave, a spectacular display of strength. They finally arrive where the giant is supposed to be and discover Blackbeard and Hannibal. They demand he comes with them, and He-Man plays along until they demand he walk the plank. Blackbeard informs He-Man of Monteague's plan to capture him and use him. But he also admits that destroying the dome, where the other warriors are housed, will free Monteague's entire slave army. So He-Man sets off to destroy the dome. Orko is incapacitated in a bubble while He-Man is trapped inside a moving pit. He-Man uses his sword to cut away at the rock, creating heaps of gravel that quickly pile up enough for He-Man to leap out safely. Though he's out of the frying pan and now into the fire as Monteague unleashes lightning power everywhere. One bolt from Monteague accidentally hits Orko's bubble, freeing him. Hooray! He-Man manages to slow down his pursuers by jamming them up with a metal gate. Hannibal's elephant makes quick work of the gate, though, and they continue pursuit. The dome is atop Monteague's castle roof. He-Man climbs a massive tree in order to be able to reach the top, but is a sitting duck to volleys of electricity from Monteague. He-Man makes it to the top and destroys the dome, releasing all those trapped inside. Monteague is frustrated his entire army is gone and blames Skeletor. Blackbeard and Hannibal thank He-Man for saving them. Now they can all go to their proper rest. Orko is exhausted from everything and hopes there isn't a real giant to fight. He-Man jokes that he'd love to fight one and maybe they should go find one. But Orko is distracted, wishing he'd gotten Blackbeard's autograph. Roll credits.
Okay, so not knowing too much about this world, I just assumed that Monteague was like a somewhat regular foil.
Yeah.
You know, that like Monteague was a character who, yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, I learned that as I looked up. I was like, what other episodes
Okay,
was
yeah.
Monteague in? And it's like nothing.
I don't think he's
Never
in any.
before
Yeah.
and not since. But I thought it was a strange dynamic between him and Skeletor, like unusual, you know, in a way that was kind of compelling because, you know, it sort of puts Skeletor on a different footing. You know, they're sort of working together. Skeletor's sort of trying to use him. I don't know. It was just,
Well, there's a
I
great
thought it was
part
cool.
in what you're going at. The one part that I loved in this is when Skeletor is rooting for He-Man at one point, and
Yeah.
Clawful's like, "What are you doing? You
Yeah.
know, like he's your mortal enemy." And he's like, "Yes, but if he wins, then I'm rid of him." You know, like so.
Yeah.
I thought when that scene happened, I was like, "Oh man, that's a really interesting dynamic because he's
Yeah.
actually rooting for him, which
Yeah.
Skeletor would never do." And so, like,
I know.
I when that came up, I thought, "Oh, that was really interesting." That I wonder if like most
Yeah.
kids would even recognize that, like watching that, how
Yeah.
important that was. It's like rooting for the football team that you hate because you want them to beat another football team you hate. So you're
Right.
like, "But I
Yeah.
hate that one more." So you're rooting for that one, and everyone was like, "Well, why are you rooting for that?" And I'm
Yes.
like, "Well, because I want them to beat
Yeah.
that team." You know.
Well, then I'll just tell you ahead of time that that is my Ichiwawa moment because I really
Oh,
enjoyed
okay.
that. I just
Yeah.
thought it was a fun paradigm shift to have Skeletor be like, wait, no, this time I need He-Man to win.
Yeah.
And it just brings out, again, going back to what we were saying earlier about the goofy nature of Skeletor as a villain. I just think it plays into that so well. And
Yeah.
it gives him something very different to do. So I thought that worked really well. But yeah, I would be down for more Monteague.
Yeah.
And same with Blackbeard. I particularly liked Blackbeard. I mean, Hannibal, fine, but I thought the Blackbeard was kind of a cool thing too.
Blackbeard did well, you know, and that's so I'll since you did your Ichiwawa, I'll use mine. I started out going, like it's Hannibal really and Blackbeard, and at the very end when it ends and it's actually Blackbeard and Hannibal,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
Monteague has somehow gone back in time and captured them, like ripped them from their time periods and brought them here. And so it actually is Blackbeard, not like I'm Space Blackbeard. No, it's actually Blackbeard and Hannibal. I kind of thought that that was cool because they're very recognizable characters.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but like a lot of there's like a lot of the PSA stuff, kind of like G.I. Joe with He-Man, with like kind of like a moral lesson or something that you can learn from it. And I thought when that occurred at the very end of the episode, I was like, oh yeah, like, hey, that's really cool. Like, what a great way to get like Hannibal, Blackbeard, these different like Genghis Khan, like getting these like recognizable names out there to kids who are young. And then when they go to school and they learn about them, they're like, hey, I know that name. And it actually made sense to me for a second where I was like, you know what? I would rather have that than have some guy, you know, like I am, you know, Spaceman Jimmy John, you know, and you're like, yeah, all right, he's gonna be destroyed. Like, you know, he's gonna be destroyed, you know, as opposed to this where you're like, okay, wait a minute, this is an actual historical character. How's this gonna play out? And I just thought it was really cool that they were actually the guys stolen from their time, and it was, I mean, it wasn't ever described, but I guess he like captured them, and it was mind control, I guess, like he had their souls trapped in the dome kind of thing.
Right, I was gonna say, but didn't it also sort of feel like they were somehow like ghosts or something? Because when they're freed, they kind of dissipate.
Yeah, so it's like, and he did say like, oh, now we can their proper rest. Now we can go to our proper rest, he said. So it's like
that kind of,
he like took their souls and I guess inserted them into bodies. So that's why it looks like Space Blackbeard, because it's actually Blackbeard's his soul, but inside of a modern base body.
Maybe.
Which it doesn't, I mean, it actually works. I think it works, you know, because I was like, well, he can't kill him. He can't kill Blackbeard because that's Blackbeard, you know, or destroy him essentially.
But I will say that you're touching on my oak of arc here, because I felt like the character designs of Blackbeard and Hannibal, like because they're meant to be the actual historical figure, like why not have Blackbeard in full like pirate regalia? Like if that's what we're doing. I mean, I think
True.
your
Yeah.
explanation for that makes sense that it's like he's putting their consciousness into these
Yeah.
forms or
Hannibal
whatever.
looked
But
like
like, I
Hannibal.
think,
Like, yeah.
yeah, a little bit
When
more.
he
Yeah, a
popped up,
little
I
bit
was like,
more.
"It kind of looks like Hannibal." And then he was like, "I'm Hannibal." I was just like, "Oh yeah, I knew that."
But I
Like it
think
makes
if
sense.
Blackbeard was just straight up like pirated it out, that would have been a cool and a very different kind of
Yeah.
look for this episode. So some of the character designs I felt like just I mean Monteague is another one. He's like a phallic little frog man. Like
His
I
little
didn't really like
drinks through his finger. Did you catch
yeah.
that?
Yeah, he drinks. Oh, that was so funny though.
I
That was so
know.
funny.
That's a great
When they're
touch.
sit
I'm
there
sorry.
I know. They're sitting there with their mocktails, and he just reaches over and sticks his fingers in.
He's
That
just
was very
he's like
funny.
stirring it and then drinks it. Like I had to
Yeah.
rewind and be like, "Whoa, did you just drink it with his finger?" And I was like, "Clever. I
Yeah.
like it." Like
Yep. Yep.
that was
See,
really
and
good.
that does feel like a Mel Gilden touch to me because he has like a goofy sense of humor,
Yeah.
like his Surf Samurai Robots books and things like that. Like it just, I think the absurdity of that works really well with like what I know of that author. But yeah, I thought the character design sort of let it down a little bit, like given the premise. I think it would have been cool to see that
Yeah.
a little bit better. But yeah, I think the whole construct of luring He-Man away, because we get Tila for a little bit, but we don't really
Yeah,
like
just
Man
a
at
bit.
Arms and like some of the other. Yeah, you don't really. It's kind of a just He-Man, and we get some Orko, of course, and it was nice to have Clawful in there as well
Mhm.
because there's one sort of recognizable recurring villain, who shows up more than just the one-offs who appear in this episode. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I thought it was a very fun half hour of television. I thought it
Yeah.
was action packed, and I liked how it kind of flipped the script.
You wanna do, Oak of Arcs?
I did mine, so yeah,
Oh,
take it
you
away.
okay,
What's
yeah,
your
that's
Oak of
right.
Arc?
So mine was they didn't use I wanted them to use the whole team, or at least use
Right.
Hannibal and Blackbeard more.
Mm,
You're introduced to them almost immediately. The episode starts with Skeletor
yeah.
and Clawful, and all of a sudden, boom! Hannibal and Blackbeard are there. It just would have been fun
Yeah.
for some fight scenes with like, He-Man being like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to take this guy," and all of a sudden Hannibal just like tramples the crap out of him, and he's like, "Oh man, like
Uh-huh.
like I underestimated." A historical character, like I shouldn't have done that, just things like that where
Right.
like you elaborate on the character a little bit more,
Mm,
and then maybe Blackbeard does something where you're like, "Oh, that's a very piratey thing to do." Like he's like, "Oh, never mind. Oh, I'll help you." And then he double crosses him like a swashbuckling
oh,
pirate would
yeah.
have done,
Yeah.
just things that would have kind of fit that character. So it would have made sense for kids to be like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, he totally double crossed him like a pirate," things like
Yeah.
that. And so I just thought, I was like, "Oh man," like when Tila was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to stay back here and guard the castle." I was like, "Oh no," like she's not
Yeah.
even going out on the mission, like it's
Yeah.
like everyone gets to
Well,
stay
I
home.
think when you
So
break down the plot, it really feels like it's a Montague story. He has this
yeah.
goal, he and Skeletor are sort of luring He-Man and they need He-Man alone and everything. So like I get it. I mean I think a big like clash with the whole crew and like
Would
the
have been
the
cool,
bads that were
yeah.
assembled would have been fun. But I think that's one of the things that I sort of appreciated about it was because we start from the beginning with He-Man being tricked, and then everything that
Yeah.
plays out afterwards is him being manipulated by Montague and Skeletor like being here for it because he wants He-Man to show how great he is so he can be out of there. So I get what you're saying, but it didn't bother me because I felt like it was in line with the goals, especially when you look at it from like Montague's point of view.
True, true.
I'm curious to know what the directives are about this. Like, he said he was working with the editor here about, figuring things out and everything. But I wonder if they have some sort of like, don't go more than 3 minutes without some sort of fight. Make
Oh,
sure
interesting.
He-Man has this much
Yeah.
screen time. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there are pieces like that. Because if this show is sort of in support of like an action figure line and stuff, you want kids to be like playing along and like experiencing
Mhm.
it. So I would be
Yeah.
curious to know like how much of that kind of stuff, you get
There
like
is stuff like that, I
10% of the time
know.
for character development, like 30% fighting, whatever it is. Like I bet there's some sort of metric behind like
Yeah.
what makes an episode.
I remember seeing a thing that when The Rock, so Dwayne Johnson, when he's in a movie, that there's some like contract aspect where he cannot have his butt kicked, essentially.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He is not allowed to lose. So I wonder if there's like, when writing something like this, can He-Man not get his butt kicked ever? Like, can he not lose, or can he not be in any real peril?
Mm.
Because, I'm sure it was a different time. The 80s were a different time. Like, all of a sudden you see like He-Man getting crushed by something and he's almost dying. Like, would that at the time were they like, we need to censor that? That needs to be censored, and we
I
can't
don't think
have
so.
our
I think they were
hero.
like, bring it on.
You think so?
I
But it's like
do.
this I felt like it would have been, I think it would have been good for at least one or two of the tests for him to kind of be like, whoa, like that
Yeah,
was
that's true.
like we did it,
That would
but
have been
that one
interesting to
was
see.
tougher than I thought
That
it
was
was
a
going to
close
be.
call. Yeah.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
exactly. Like that was a close call.
He is kind of operating from a position of weakness in the sense that like he's being manipulated from the get-go. Like everything he's doing is in service of Montague putting him through these stuff. So in some ways it's like he is
Yeah.
kind of duped the whole way. And yes, he overcomes it, but like that's sort of a different thing to do as well, to make him
Yeah.
not hip to it. He's like, oh, Skeletor's manipulating me, but we'll have to push through this. He just doesn't get it
Yeah,
until
he's like,
like
"I'll
the
play
very
your
end.
game."
So
And so it's
right,
almost like he
right.
knew there was something going on, but he just didn't want to say anything, because
Yeah,
Tila said, she's like, "There's never been a giant in that area." And so He-Man's
right.
like, "All right, well, let's go check it out." Like,
Yeah.
you kind of
Yep.
realize like maybe he does have a little bit of doubt, like I'm going to be manipulated here or something, or I'm being tricked.
Something's fishy. We can agree that something
Yes.
is fishy.
There's one thing that was said at the very end, the PSA, when He-Man's like, most of you won't have the same opportunity to meet historical figures like Hannibal and Blackbeard. And I was like, wait a minute. Did you say
Most
most? Like, what about everyone
Yeah,
watching this ever will not
it's safe to
have an
say
opportunity to meet Hannibal?
people watching He-Man probably will not have met Blackbeard.
I know. Just
So now how many
so.
nubs do you give this episode?
I'd give this probably a 4. I think a solid
Yeah.
4. I think it had a very, very good base, and I like the fact of the testing. I feel like this could be groundwork for a very long or even an He-Man movie because of the test aspect of it, that he could have been led
Mhm.
on a lot longer. But yeah, solid 4. I didn't hate it. I really did enjoy what he had going on here. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I like the format of it. I like that it mixed things up a little bit. I thought it was fun using the real historical figures. I just wish that, Montague became, sort of a rotating thing, because having that sort of
Yeah.
villain, or not even a villain, he's just kind of like doing his own thing. Having a character sort of operate on that way and having that relationship with Skeletor, I thought was really cool and interesting.
I
So
know they were like
I think it's
college
too bad.
buddies, right? Like,
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. But I think it's too bad that they didn't like utilize that character again in the future. And when I looked, I couldn't find even any of the later series. Don't seem like that character ever
yeah,
comes back. So it's a pretty developed concept for a one and done. But no,
yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this episode, and it was fun to revisit the show. And I'm been in
Mhm.
the mood because I'm excited about the movies. So maybe
Yeah.
I'll keep rolling a little bit of
Oh,
it.
yeah. It was great to hear all the noises and the music,
Yes.
and
Yes.
like I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And even my wife was like,
Yeah.
"What are you watching?" And I was like, "Hey, man!" And she's like, "Get out of here!" And I was like, "Yeah!" And I was like, I guess she must have like heard a noise or something, like I don't know.
Yeah.
All like the noises, the slashy, the metal of his sword, like just
Yep.
everything. I was like, "Oh man,
Yep.
it's been a while,
There's
man."
nothing like classic cartoon sound effects. It's
Yeah,
it's true. I mean,
the music.
it's such an art form, and it's funny to think about Filmation like trying to do things on the cheap, because I don't
Yeah,
know. That's some of the charm is the static backgrounds and the recurring movements and sounds and stuff. It just I don't know. It just feels like a very special kind of thing. So I really
yeah,
enjoyed this little walk down memory
yeah.
lane. Next time, it's our 5-year anniversary of doing this show, Steve.
Whoa.
And I know, we're going to bring the new Yoda Chronicles to a close with Clash of the Skywalkers.
Clash of the Oh man. We'll see how this ending goes, if it completely redeems itself or not.
Mm, mm,
No, no,
I don't
not
know. I don't
we'll
know.
see. We'll see.
Maybe
it puts
it'll
itself
bring
to
the 2
bed.
seasons together. Yeah, maybe.
Puts
Yeah,
itself to
maybe it
bed
does.
forever. Like this was the we're
Yeah.
never doing that again.
Yeah, could be. I'm open to be surprised. I'm open for this to just kill it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll
We
see.
should do another show with Yoda about Legos and not have Yoda in it for
Yeah, that'd be great. What a great
98% of it.
idea.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
What a great idea. Yep. Have Yoda be a pointless
We should
background
make it
character.
the new Skywalker Chronicles and just make it about Han Solo.
Yes.
I'd be okay with that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great.
All right. I will see you then.
Okay.
This Enduring Life is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Be sure to check out some of the other shows on the network, including 9021 Here We Go and Previously on X-Men. Please rate, subscribe, and share these shows wherever you get your podcasts.